A few months ago, I spoke about the original trilogy of Jurassic Park toy lines. These lines were legendary for their quality, and Kenner, the toy company that made them, set the standard for modern dinosaur toys. Innovations they made included Dino Damage, Dinosaur Capture Gear, and of course Real Feel Skin. So when Kenner was acquired by Hasbro, who would then close down Kenner's office in Cincinnati, laying off hundreds of employees in the process, the decline in quality for Jurassic Park became immediately apparent, starting with their Jurassic Park 3 line, which abandoned many of the unique elements Kenner had established. After that, Jurassic toys would slow down big time, mostly because no movies were being made. That is until 2015, when Jurassic World came out. Hasbro suddenly remembered they owned the license, and they whipped up what might be the most half-assed movie toy line I've ever seen. It didn't help that Jurassic World exceeded all expectations, being a certified box office banger, and being one of the highest grossing movies of all time. Hasbro somehow fumbled the toy line attached to this movie. And they fumbled it so bad, they lost the Jurassic Park license. What's good, internet? Jake here, dumb as ever, and I really enjoyed Jurassic World when it came out. I remember going to see it last minute with my friends, and the theater was so packed that we had to sit in the very front row. But man, I was still enamored with the movie. It was in the early days of the Lego sequels popping off, so this movie and The Force Awakens really grabbed me back then. But to be honest, I never paid attention to the toys. I didn't even know how awful this toy line was until I started researching the Kenner era. I do want to discuss Mattel's Jurassic World toys in the future, but first I wanted to dedicate a whole video to Hasbro's blunderous Jurassic World toy line, and really dissect what went wrong. If dinosaurs, or toys, or both are your thing, please consider liking and subscribing. It ain't extra, and if you don't mind, maybe drop a hype for the video as well. I don't really know what it does, but it's supposed to help your video, so if you can, please do. Now, before we get into the meat of this line, I wanted to talk about Hasbro's kids toy offerings. I mean like other kids toys that are not the main line of Jurassic World kids toys. Hasbro loves to do these offshoot lines, and just load up the shelves with completely useless garbage. They were also obsessed with the brand synergy in 2015, so Jurassic World got a line of Hero Mashers toys, which were mix and match toys that encompassed many brands, like Marvel, Star Wars, and Transformers. I'm on record for disliking Hero Mashers, but honestly, of all the lines, the Jurassic World ones deserve to exist the most, mostly because Jurassic World introduced hybrids to the franchise. And with the Hero Mashers line, you can make all kinds of hybrids, so the line actually fits within the confines of the movie premise. I also just like the cartoony design style. They remind me of the old Extractors toy line, which I talked about in my failed and forgotten dinosaur toys video. The colors also remind me of the Chaos Effect toys. I mean, just look at this highlighter yellow Spino. So yeah, I'll give Jurassic World Hero Mashers a pass. They at least make more sense than giving Luke Skywalker Yoda legs. Also, the cartooniness gives them a pass for any design inconsistencies, and somehow a few of them are even more accurate than the main line. The other big line was Brawlasaurs, which were gimmicky little dinosaur toys meant to fight. Basically, you would lift the head to expose their chest, which has a little magnet in it. You're then supposed to twist the tail, and twisting the tail also winds up the mechanism holding the magnet. Once you do that for two of the Brawlasaurs, you can put them together and they go absolutely crazy, with the idea that one of them would fall on its side, while the other would stay standing, indicating victory in battle. I can't lie, it's fun to watch these things freak out when they touch each other, but I can't really see a coherent game like they're implying. They have these little rock, paper, scissors symbols on their belly, but those don't actually seem to affect how the toys work whatsoever. Also, you really need the battle arena, which launches the toys at each other, making gameplay much more exciting. While the Brawlasaurs are a bit of silly fun, they're also all basically the same mold, with a few variations on the arms and legs. Really not the best, and kind of just a classic Hasbro BS toy line. In the original Kenner toy line, they had Hatchling figures, which in my opinion were utterly adorable little statues, featuring baby dinosaurs in an egg. Hasbro decided to also do a couple Hatchlings, but They look like this? I think something went wrong with this T-Rex's DNA. Just look at those rounded off teeth, man. This thing looks like one of those Fuggler toys. And the pterodactyl looks like a Walmart rotisserie chicken. There were some similar toys called Stompers, which featured a Triceratops and a Stegosaurus. These guys look so much cuter to me, and I feel like they fit Jurassic World better. This is because the T-Rex and pterodactyl were actually from a different toy line. Yep. Hasbro just recycled the Rex and Pterodactyl from a toy line called Kota and Friends. They are like exactly the same. Though Hasbro had the gall to stitch on the Jurassic World JW, which is meant to be a symbol of authenticity. But I don't think that really counts on reused toys. Enough of this baby crap though. Let's get to the real children's dinosaur toys. Hasbro's Jurassic World main line of figures might be the worst in franchise history. They were unsure if the movie would be a success, so very little money was put into this line and it shows. With boring or just plain bad sculpts, glaringly bad screw hole placement, making the right side of most dinosaurs a complete eyesore, and a return to the JP3 permanent dino damage, with almost every figure in the line having the exact same battle damage applied. It's actually impressive how little care they put into this line. So let's go through some of these figures, and we'll talk about the follies as well as the few positives we can. Let's start with the series icon, the T-Rex. This chomping attack T-Rex figure is hailed as the worst Jurassic Park Rex ever. At least by my GOAT Andy's Dinosaur reviews it is. And if this guy says it's the worst, that's what I believe. I trust this man with my life. I love this comment on his video. This looks like an offensive stereotype of a T-Rex. That one made me laugh, I'm not gonna lie. There's so much wrong with this guy just on sight. His head looks enormous compared to his body. He's got the teeniest of arms, and the body details just look so ugly and cheap. He has slit eyes, which is just so obviously inaccurate to the movie. The dino damage makes this ugly figure even uglier, and once again, one side of the toy is completely covered in screw holes. It is truly one of the worst Jurassic Rex figures I've seen. There was also the large Stomp and Strike T-Rex, which admittedly looks better. The plastic color they chose still makes it look cheap, and there are several obvious screw holes, though because he's bigger they look less bad. They also gave him a rubber neck to emulate the real feel skin of the Kenner days, though it looks awkward connected to hard plastic. We also need to talk about the Raptors, which were a huge focus of the movie, with Blue being one of the primary hero dinosaurs. The Raptors in this line are bizarre. First of all, they're huge, which is another problem with this toy line. There is no consistent scale and every dinosaur is a random size. These giant raptors are also stuck in specific poses. While Kenner and Mattel opted for neutral poses for their dinosaurs, Hasbro chose to give several of their dinos attacking or roaring poses, which I guess whether you like or dislike that is a matter of opinion, but I definitely think it holds back imaginative play, and simple articulation like jaw movement was not even included. You'll also notice the coloration is completely off. For example, Blue has no blue, and instead is a green color. This is because these toys were based on concept art, which happens a lot in the toy industry, so I can't hate on Hasbro too much for that, but what I can hate on Hasbro for is their severe carelessness. For example, the Raptors don't have their sickle claws, which is maybe one of the most iconic things about them. It's just a bizarre exclusion, which just goes to show how little effort they were putting into this line. Another issue was the way Hasbro did teeth. A lot of dinos have blunt, molded together teeth. Just look at the Ceratosaurus. It looks like he has dentures on or something. This line didn't include a Triceratops or Stegosaurus, but it did have a Stegoceratops, which confused me at first because I thought it was just the worst looking Triceratops of all time, but apparently it's a hybrid that was cut from the movie, which again isn't Hasbro's fault, but this mold is also awkwardly pre-posed. Of course, if we're talking hybrids, we have to discuss Indominus Rex, which had a few figures. One of which was the biggest dinosaur in the line. This Indominus looks okay. It does look very inaccurate to me, but again, this toy was likely based on concept art. Though, even if it wasn't, I'm not sure I could trust Hasbro to get it right at this point. But it is hard to go wrong with a huge monster dino like Indominus. It glows red when you activate the action feature for some reason. There was also a smaller Indominus released, which has this weird green color brushed over it. I don't like how that looks. But I do like the dino damage on this figure, it has a plate that hides the damage, which is much better than the ever-present damage on the other figures, and a good modern update to the original Kenner play pattern. Indominus came with a gyrosphere and a little human figure to fight. The Jurassic World toy line mostly opted to skip human figures, so these different packs were the only way to get any humans. And even then, the humans are just generic soldiers. None of the main characters got toys in this first wave. There was also a Mosasaur pack, which had the same dino damage feature as the Indominus, but this wasn't the only wave for Jurassic World. A second series was released a year later in 2016, which was called Dino Hybrid, and as you might guess, it focused on hybrid dinosaurs, though most of them are just wacky repaints, and admittedly I like these molds a lot better in these colors. For example, the Stegoceratops is so much more fun. It looks like Predator is viewing its heat signature. There's also this lovely blue and red version of the Spino, which I didn't even bother mentioning before because it was so ugly. Some older figures got extra armor pieces, like the Ankylosaurus, which comes with an attachable shell and tail armor. This dude is looking more and more like Anguirus. And there was also an Indominus Rex that got some ugly armor plates. Along with these figures, we also got a couple brand new toys, one of which being the Carnoraptor, which is a combination of a Carnotaurus and a Velociraptor, which just looks so derpy in the face. But hey, at least they remembered the sickle claw on this figure. The other unique figure in the line was the Pteromimus, which is a combination of a pterodactyl and a Suchomimus. This figure uses the Dimorphodon's body from the first wave, but it has a new head and wings. We did also get an Owen figure that came with Blue. Owen looks very awkward, and Blue is still based on the ugly concept art, but at least she has her sickle claws. The big T-Rex got an ugly repaint, with some spines added on for some hybrid action. Once again, the coolest figure of the line is the giant Indominus Rex. The red and white is a crazy awesome look for the I-Rex. And I love the play feature of giant spikes jutting out of its back. It also has some gold paint on its feet, hands, and belly, which feels extra but is kind of cool. This figure was actually referenced in Mattel's recent reimagined line, which is pretty awesome. Overall, the Dino Hybrid line was marginally better, but they didn't really improve the toy line from the prior year. They just gave them more interesting paint jobs. Overall, this movie toy line was hilariously bad. This is easily one of Hasbro's biggest blunders, and it feels like they made every wrong choice, resulting in them losing the license to Mattel, who in my opinion has been killing it. They're not a perfect company by any means, but they obviously care about the toys in a way Hasbro never did, which is all you can really ask for. I do plan to cover Mattel's Fallen Kingdom, Dominion, and Rebirth toy lines in the future, but I hope you enjoyed this little side quest. And if you did, please consider liking and subscribing. And if you'd like to support me further, I have a YouTube membership and Patreon. For $1 a month, both give you the same thing. An invite to my super chill Discord server, where we talk about all kinds of toys and have weekly Discord watch parties. And you also get access to my members exclusive podcast where I interview other YouTubers, mostly about toys and content. Alright y'all, I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.